So today we have a special treat for you guys. I don't know many people who don't know this guest.
There's plenty.
If you don't know this guest, you're living under a rock. He is someone who really honestly kickstarted my dog training career. What, 8-9 years ago? We were just talking about how long it's been. So we want to introduce to you guys Jeff Gellman with Solid Canine Training. And again, I don't know many people who aren't going to know of this guy.
Yep. He's a monster.
That's right. So welcome, Jeff. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's really, really great to connect again. It has been a long time. And I remember the first time we met, actually. Yeah.
You
guys came over to the house and swam in the pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That video.
We stayed in your guest house.
We did.
That's
and that
right.
video pops up on my time hop. We had a board and train who was crazy. Her name was Piper. And you got us to get her. She was highly dog reactive, red zone, anxious. And that was the first dog I ever taught to swim in the pool. And you had like 8 German Shepherds in the pool with her. And I remember being like, Jeff, this is a bad idea. And you're like, here, let her in. Just go.
Let's see what happens. Yep.
It's been a long mentorship.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It was crazy,
but a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
A lot has changed, and that's actually kind of what I want to start with. So,
absolutely.
Tell everybody about, how Solid Canine started and kind of where you're at now. Kind of fill everybody in and catch everybody up.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back 20 years. So we can go. If you want to know the origin story, I got a dog, like a lot of people did. I was not knowledgeable about a lot of stuff like a lot of people are. That's why I think I connect with owners so well, because I was that owner. I mean, I was actually that uneducated owner, and I got a German Shepherd, and I did everything I was told to do. Went to multiple trainers, and the dog just was dog aggressive and human aggressive, redirecting on me. I couldn't even take it for a walk. It was like the same issues that everybody struggles with. And finally, at about 9 months old, I finally found someone that helped me. And I remember being in their office, and the dog was like, it wasn't at the end of the leash, so I was holding it back, but definitely in attack mode. And the trainer said, you can tell your dog no, Jeff. And that was a new concept for me. I was like, really? I actually didn't know. I didn't know that because I'm getting the same messaging that a lot of people are, who are also struggling. So I started learning more about that, and I would drive about an hour and a half, 3 times a week, depending on traffic, back in each way, and just to take classes and to learn. And then finally, a couple months later, someone stopped me on the street saying, I have a German Shepherd too. Can you help me? And I just immediately said yes. And that's how it started. Without knowing anything about their dog, I just said yes. And so I sort of worked with dogs that were above my pay grade from the beginning, so which I feel fortunate that I did. And that's for 8 years. I went to people's homes. So I was on the road, went through a couple of different vans. My first van, some people remember this was my Volkswagen Westfalia, camper van.
So you did vans before vans were even cool.
Vans have always been cool. So yeah. I owned a 1976 a lime green Ford Econoline van back in high school. So
lime green. You would.
So yeah. So I went to people's houses like 7 days a week, 6 to 8 houses a day. I mean, I worked with a lot of clients and all behavioral issues. And I did that. And then finally we're in New England. So I was just really tired of the cold. I really was just tired of the cold. And then I started doing a small board and train in a little outbuilding on my property. And then, but still, not enough room to really train. That's just where they slept. So again, training outside. So finally, I just was like, this is ridiculous. Let's find a place. And I found a place. It was 12,500 square feet, bigger than I wanted, but that's just the way. It's an old mill building, so that's just the way it was cut up. Like you couldn't shrink the space down just by egresses, And it was deserted for 3 years prior to that. It was old manufacturing, and then in 60 days we converted it into usable space. And I
Wow.
just stopped going to people's houses, and I opened up the training center, which we did board and train and one-on-ones there. And I was there for 12 years until about 6 months ago. 6 months ago. So we built that up. We did. I did 322 seminars. I just was. It came up when I was adding new seminars for this year and next year. I'm back on the road, and it says 322 seminars. You know, to look through the history.
That's crazy.
You know, around the world. And then. And these were all problem-solving seminars. So again, focusing on people with some really serious issues on how to stop unwanted behaviors. I built my business on the person that actually stops really bad unwanted behaviors. Obviously, we train dogs and, you know, all basic obedience, on leash and off leash. But I was the go-to in New England of, if you've got a challenging dog, an aggressive dog, this is who you go to. Because I was, you know, really, really good at that. And then COVID happened, slowed down a little bit, but not dramatically. But I stopped doing seminars, and then I started building online courses with Joelle, and that's where the transition from seminars to online courses. My oxygen has always been, how can I help owners in the most efficient way? One-on-ones was good, but you'd only do literally one-on-one. Board and train is good, but you could only do with 3 trainers, maybe 10 dogs at a time. But courses, it's unlimited. It's unlimited. So we have courses that we've sold, thousands of courses around the world. So just, I mean, imagine how many people we can sell to, you know, technically every dog owner. So we started doing courses. We're actually just finished filming for today. We're doing a leash reactivity course live. Tomorrow is the last day of that, and we're still doing them, still building them. So we do a combination of course. Chaos to Control. Yeah. It's really great because it's live, unedited, which is really,
it's going to be great.
I don't find it risky because, you know, we're really good at all this stuff, but it's unedited. You can't stop for anything. You have to just keep going, and whatever happens, happens. So we're doing a lot of that now. And then the other day I was talking to Joelle, and I'm like, I don't know, some old memories come up. Like you were just talking about old things. They came up of some old seminars, and I'm like, you know, I love doing them. I love doing them. I really, really love being in front of, you know, 40, 50, 60 people, and with 15 to 20 unknown dogs with all bad behaviors, and just being able to help people. Like, obviously they're not being fully trained in a weekend, but definitely stopping unwanted behaviors, giving them a game plan, giving them finally giving them hope, which is huge. Where they didn't think they had, you know, any other options. You know, they've been going through boarding trains, gone through trainers, told to put their dogs down, and finally they get hope. And then we decided to go back on the road. So we're doing 2 this year, and probably only 6 or 7, 8 maybe next year, instead of 25 a year like I used to do.
Right.
And then so right now I moved everything down to Florida. So I moved to Florida about 1.5 years ago. I got tired of New England, tired of the cold, moved down to Florida, and we moved the company down here too. So I went from 12,500 square feet to 1,200 square feet. Like I just wanted to downsize everything. You know, 57 years old. It's like, okay, let me like slow things down a little bit and work on helping more people, which is the online courses. And now we're only doing, you know, 3 to 4 dogs at a time, just really small scale. Moved our head trainer down here. And we're putting a lot of time and effort into online courses. A lot of it. And that's what I'm doing still, again, helping, you know, a lot of people. And then I've had a podcast now for radio show and podcasting for about 16 years.
That's crazy.
Consistently 3 times a week, 2 times a week. This week, I think we're doing 4 times a week. Just doing, again, problem solving, just helping like nobody calls in like, how do I do a downstay? I'm like, just go on to YouTube and like,
my dog once ripped my arm off
on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a course on basic obedience. So, but how to solve unwanted problems. That's what I think that's what people struggle with. That's why people are getting rid of their dogs. Like,
exactly.
you know, unwanted behaviors that they can't seem to find answers with in the marketplace.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And are you still is a lot of this going to YouTube as well still? Are you still active there? Because that's where I found you.
Not as active.
Okay.
So Instagram and Facebook, we've got a good presence on. All of our podcasts are automatically streamed to them, as well as about 15 different podcasting, platforms. The online courses are on a separate Jeff Solid Canine Academy. We have a whole online academy just for online courses, and you can see them all there. YouTube, I've sort of not been as active on.
Mm-hmm.
All our old stuff is on there. People still discover us on there.
Yep.
But that is the next thing that we're going to start working on more of.
Yeah.
But it's like it's endless now. It's endless, all these different platforms you can do. So.
I know, my head is just like spinning just thinking about all of these things, because everything you just mentioned is very time consuming. It's not like a quick thing. It's, like you said, you just spent 2 hours doing a live training, and that's just the start of your morning. Now you're here, and then I'm sure you have something else to do later. But that's how I found you. I went onto YouTube. It was probably like between 8 or 10 years ago, and just typed in, I don't even remember. I think it was just something basic about dog training, maybe like how to get your dog to stop pulling on leash. And you were the first video that popped up.
Yeah.
And then I clicked on that, and then I binged. I remember I spent like 6 hours just being like, what? Like, this stuff exists? And kind of like how you were saying when that one trainer said to you, you can say no. That's probably the same feeling that I had when I watched your videos 8 or 10 years ago. And he had mentioned right before we hopped on, he's like, if you think about it, pure energy dog training probably wouldn't exist if you didn't go to that seminar, because that just kick-started everything.
Yeah. So that's like your story is very, very common of a lot of people that I've talked to, where they discover one video, which was about stopping an unwanted behavior, such as pulling. They do go down the rabbit hole, and then they get their dog really well trained, and then they see, maybe they'll help one person, and they'll see the joy that the helping of that one person is. And they're usually in like a job that maybe they're tired of, and they got a lot of that they're not getting pleasure from, and they're like, wow, I can actually like help people and make a living doing this. And they end up starting their career. And we've started so many dog trainers' careers just through that, literally that little recipe right there that you mentioned. And and then it's been great. And then I connect with folks like you, who I met 9 years ago, who have like your life has dramatically changed too.
Totally.
Yeah, I remember, pre kids,
Yes.
So, I'm like, God, who's this really, beautiful young woman with this old guy, so.
He's wise.
You weren't married yet. I remember that, and I'm like, you better freaking get married.
You verbatim said that to him. Yes. I remember it. I like, out of nowhere, you like turned and looked at him. You're like, you better lock that down. You better marry her. And I was like, I looked at him. I remember that. I was like, that's the best information he's given us this whole seminar.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah. So and it looks like your life is, changed. I think a couple of different properties, and and you've gotten into farm life now, and you've got a little side. I don't know if it's your bread and your baking and your
we were doing that for a long time. Well, just even now, like you kickstarting the career for dog training, we now have a team of, it's like eight people now. So not only did you affect my life, but you in essence have affected all of their lives as well, which is amazing.
That's fantastic.
So it is kind of interesting probably on your end, just to see like the ripple effect that goes along with what you do and what you share. And that's one of the things that I kind of want to talk to you about. I know it is one of the things in your business journey that is good and bad, like how you share content, and the fact that you're like, hey, we're going to go to the root of the issue, the main issue, we're going to stop these unwanted behaviors. And a lot of people in the industry don't talk about it as openly as you do, and that's one of the things that you say a lot of like, we have to share more of this material. And I remember you teaching that to me, like, again, 8 or 10 years ago. So you've been saying it, and it's just something that you continue to practice and preach. And I know that with sharing those things, there is a lot of negativity and hate and scary stuff that comes with it. But you do just like, I feel like at this point, you must be just so callous to it that you just kind of keep going. I think you see that the benefit outweighs any negativity. Yeah.
I think if you're going to, bottom line is this, it's like anything else. If you're going to put yourself out there on the internet, and if you're going to do things that are a little bit against the norm and they don't go with the common narrative, or you're putting stuff out there that a lot of people are afraid to say, they'll say it privately, but not publicly.
Yeah.
And because they are afraid of, because there's a lot of social media pushback in a lot of categories right now. Just name the category, name the industry. There's a lot of that. Dog training seems to be a little bit more polarizing because of the humanization of the dog.
Right.
So we do get a lot of negative pushback, but that's the public stuff. Publicly and privately, we get a huge amount, times 100, in positive feedback.
Yes.
And, a lot of people won't put stuff up that would be dramatically helpful to dog owners who really do need help. I mean, they're really people are really struggling. I mean, we have these 2 dogs in right now that we're filming the course with. They're only miniature schnauzers, but they can't take their dogs anywhere because of their leash reactivity. They can't go anywhere. I can't imagine a world where I can't take my dogs places because they bark and lunge, and it's that annoying, like it's nonstop. And we stopped it in a day. We stopped it in 5 minutes, obviously.
Right.
And now they're around, they can be around dogs, and we can take them in public. And I think that the satisfaction of that overrides anything that anyone could say to me negatively.
Yeah.
Knowing that we are helping this family have a better quality of life, because these dogs are 11 months old.
Oh, wow.
And they're small breed dogs, so they might have 12 or 13 years left. And knowing that now we just set a whole new trajectory for the dogs in the family's life, you really can't say anything to me that's going to matter. You can attack me all day long, and I'm just going to be like, the owners are thrilled. Like, we've changed their life. And that's all I really care about. I've got an obligation to a client. That is the business. I don't have an obligation to make people happy.
Especially on the internet. It's a bunch of, keyboard warriors and all that.
Is the Wild West. And there's a ton of people, and it's unfortunate that it's gotten so unprofessional, even in this industry. But you just take the high road and you just keep putting stuff out there and not really worrying about it. And we're just doing what we do. And then there's people out there that are really struggling that find us. And they're also with a mentality that, well, nothing we've done up until now from all these people are helping. It looks like this person can help, so let's give it a shot. And
and we get that a lot too, where people come in and they're like, we've tried a couple of other trainers and we've done X, Y, and Z. And, our friend came to you and I don't know, we're kind of at the end of our rope. And it's like, yep, that's the story that we hear over and over.
Yeah. And it's a lot of folks like us, we can all share the same story, the same journey. It's really, it's beautiful.
You just keep your head down and keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not going to even, and I know what I'm saying, put it this way. I could be doing a lot better financially if I wasn't so outspoken. I know I could. I would have more people on my podcasts. I would have more people looking at my content if I sugarcoated things. I know this. I swear a lot on my podcasts, and it turns a lot of people off. I make inappropriate remarks on my podcast, and it turns a lot of people off. I'm just, but the podcasts are sort of, but when I'm a guest, ironically, I'm very professional. But
I'm surprised you haven't dropped one F-bomb yet.
No, and I'm not going to, because I'm your guest. It's like if I was in your house, I wouldn't do that,
And you are an amazing guest, because I remember when he came over to your mom's house, you were so polite. I just remember you were so kind and so polite. And I was like, look at Jeff. He cleans up so well.
but see, that's real Jeff. And it's just like, podcast is podcast, Jeff. I mean, it is entertainment. And
he said that. He's like, he's the most entertaining guy. This is going to be great.
Yeah. Look, so, I just love you. I love your authenticity. Right? Like you're just, you're real in what you say.
It's hard for me not to be. And I think you're always going to repel a lot of people because of that. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, then something's wrong, Frank. Frankly, something's wrong. I mean, to expect that, 75% of the population of an outspoken person is going to like you. No, it's just not, it's probably not going to happen, but I don't need 75%.
No.
I don't need that. I don't need that. I'd rather keep my moral compass in check, firmly, communicate to everybody what I firmly believe in, and not worry whether people are going to like it or not. And folks that like my messaging and they like my results, and they like how I word things, and they do it, and they come back with incredible feedback, and they tell you this emotional story, how it's changed their lives. That's what makes it. That's what makes it count. And obviously, from a business standpoint, I mean, I don't come from money. I'm not independently. I mean, I've had to build up everything from zero. Like when we moved down to Florida, we started at zero again. Like just because I was in business for 20 years, that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it's the only interesting thing is we're getting people, like we have a dog coming down from Montana to Florida. It's a 39-hour drive.
Yeah.
Like we're getting people from California. So we're getting more people to come from farther away to our Florida. I don't know, maybe because it's warm weather. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. It's not Rhode Island. Rhode Island's cold.
It's not Rhode Island where it's even in the summer it's clowdy, So I mean, it's been great down here, and I think the hardest thing though is because people care too much about what other people say about them online, and the biggest thing is I mean, it's easy to say stop, but it's hard. I think it's hard for people. There's a lot of people that don't put stuff out there, even though they know it helps, because they're afraid of what other people say online about them. And it's just like, I mean, my morning show, I guess I have to swear if I name my morning show. My morning show, my own mom's like, Jeff, I hate the name of your morning show. And I'm like, and I have a great relationship with my mom. I'm like, Mom, I really don't care what you think about it. I mean, so it doesn't bother me. It just
you
doesn't.
Have to do you. That's right.
It's helping. I just know we're helping. I know we're
Jeff,
helping.
A lot of I'm sure the negative feedback that you get, I can't guarantee it, but there's a high likelihood that they've never held a dog that has the energy to actually hurt you.
Yeah,
So
go ahead. Sorry.
Understanding that some of that feedback that you're going to get is from just people that just don't understand. They're ignorant of the fact of the risk that you're putting yourself in.
Agreed.
Yeah, if you've never had like a red zone aggressive wild dog getting ready to attack you at the end of the leash, just turning your back isn't going to work. But
I think, when you're dealing with an apex predator, that is even a 30-pound one, but imagine, an 80-pound, which, are a lot of your, 80 to 120, which a lot of your Rotties, your Shepherds, your Dobermans, And then a lot of all those dogs that come over from, Russia and whatever, or a Great Dane. When you have a dog like that wants to harm you, they have no problem putting a bite on you and lunging at your face. I don't think that folks understand how important it is to not get bit. And I also, for some reason, people think that we're doing something that's creating that. And no matter how many times out of the 10,000 dogs that we've trained, they come to us like this.
Yes.
And for some reason, I guess that, like, do you understand that, like, we didn't create this stuff. They came to us like this.
Yep.
They've never had and tools are controversial. Like, we all know that.
Yeah.
But they've never had tools on. They've never had a tool on. They've had just maybe a martingale, maybe a harness, maybe a flappable collar, maybe a choke chain, and then a leash. And they've never had any of these cruel tools on. And look at their behavior. I mean, they're biting their owners. I mean, I can't imagine living with a dog that bites.
Wants to kill me.
That of any family, an immediate family member. I just can't imagine living with a dog in my house like that. And that's why it's like, we have to stop this. This has to be stopped, because the other option is death. The other option is death. So I think a lot of people that make negative comments definitely don't know the arena that we are in. But we are seeing more and more hate coming from even our own arena. And I think, since there's so much negative pushback to folks that train like I do, which is with tools, but again, I'm trying to change the conversation. Let's stop having a tool conversation. Let's start having a dog trainer conversation. Because, for instance, these two miniature schnauzers were just at a 2-week board and train
Before they came to you?
to us. Yes.
Jeez.
They used tools. They came home worse than they went there. So it's not a tool conversation. It's a skill set conversation. It's a dog training conversation. I bring this up all the time. We use food to train. My dog, I'm down to one dog now.
Oh, wow.
I've lost a bunch in the last couple of years, just old age and sickness. But he doesn't know rollover.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I don't care how much of a quality of food, how high value of food. If I don't know how to teach rollover, the dog's not going to do rollover. It's the same with all of your remote collars, which are e-collar, shock collars, which are all the same, but they're very, how controversial they are. If your dog doesn't know an obedience command or a task or a trick, you can push buttons all day. They're not going to do it. Yeah. The only thing they'll probably do is run away.
They need to know what it means.
And I think, other than maybe stopping from counter surfing, getting in the trash, like, you can't train an obedience command or a wanted behavior without understanding still the core of dog training. And I wish people understood, no matter how many times we talk about that, they still put up this barrier, like their ears shut down at the first mention of a certain tool.
Yep.
And we can relate that to religion. We can relate that to a lot of different things where people won't get past that because the messaging they're getting from, whether it's probably from social media a lot, is just so they're not open to civil conversation whatsoever.
Yes.
And I've asked on my podcast, if anybody wants to have a civil, actual conversation that doesn't like what I do, I'd be more than happy to have you on my podcast. But are you capable of having a civil conversation?
Yep.
I am. As loud as I am on my show and as extreme as I am on my show, I'm still capable of having an extremely civil conversation with people.
That's dialogue. I mean, that's an important thing to be able to do.
It's the basis of communication. And and I think, believe it or not, if you broke it all down, people that truly want to help owners, no matter how they train, are closer than they think.
Mm-hmm.
They're closer than they think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
but there's extremes. There's
Yes.
people that feel that you should never say no to a dog. Well, and they're religious about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's so now we're farther away than we think. We're farther away
Mm-hmm.
than we think, because now are you really and are you really open to a civil conversation? But
Yep.
it's just like,
And when you get
it's
stuck
like,
on your ways, like if you take a side and you're like, I will live and die by this side, just like you said, you lost sight of helping the owner. Because
right,
if saying no is what's going to get that owner help, why not
right,
say no? Why not apply a correction? Why not give that information? Yes and no, you have to complete the whole puzzle. Just all the yeses and not the nos. I don't learn that way as a
I
human. If
can't.
I didn't have consequences in my
Of
life,
course
I
not.
would be rogue. Like I wouldn't be who I am
not.
today.
I mean, I think it goes with. We can talk about raising kids. We can talk about couples
It
communicating.
correlates through.
We
a
can
ton.
talk about everything in life. And if you're extremely passionate about one side and extremely passionate about the other side, that's not really where my messaging is for.
Mm-hmm.
It's for maybe the 10% of the people that are uncertain, that are open-minded. That's where my messaging is addressed to.
Yeah.
It's just addressed to the people that are just unsure. But there are people that have said, like, when you say I'd rather my dog die than correct it,
Mm-hmm.
we're not even in the same
universe.
I don't understand. So I think that I'm just trying to change the conversation away from tools and let's talk about dog training, but let's also be realistic and understand that everything in life is based on reward and punishments. I mean, just everything.
Absolutely.
That's how civilization works. That's how nature works. That's how, that's how everything works. And it is working. I mean, it is working. I mean, our fan base grows and grows and grows and grows, not just us. And it's interesting though, because you mentioned like so many people know me, and I don't know about that, but there's thousands of trainers out there that are doing a fantastic job training dogs.
Yeah,
they
get good results.
They do, and they just don't have a podcast or a social media presence, or they're just not as outspoken and controversial. They're not going around the country doing seminars, which we get, people, trying to boycott and ban them and picket them, which I think is a little bit silly because like everybody that buys a ticket knows what we do. It's like, we're not springing any surprises on anybody.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like the electric company where unless you want to go solar, it's like you have to pay them, it's like, it's like, you don't have to go, you don't have to go. No one's being forced to go, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I do think that, again, being in the industry for, around 8 to 10 years now, it's like when I first started versus where we are now, I feel like there are so many more balanced trainers, or maybe my eyes are just open to more. I'm not really sure, but just more people who are willing to have the conversation of yes and no, want the best for the owner, and again, really be open to implementing what is going to work for that individual dog, and yes, we have a program, but realizing every dog's an individual, you have to tweak it. So it's kind of, risky to take a stance on like one specific side when there's so much middle ground that has to be had. It's like, I hear, positive side, and it's like, I agree with a lot of that because yes, we use so much positive stuff in our work.
We use
so
probably
much.
90+% of it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not in a box though.
We just also happen to tell them when I disagree with something, and it's like, why is that so far off? And again, I think then it just kind of comes down to, like he said before, it's like, okay, if it does turn into an issue, which for some people it does and some people it doesn't, but if it does turn into an issue, just keep going. Like, don't pay attention to that. I remember, again, 10 years ago, you were like, if you have people reaching out to you that are negative and all stuff, he goes, you block and delete, and then you move on. And I've done that for 10 years and I live in peace about it because I'm just like, we're doing so much good. I don't have time for that negativity.
I mean, it's the way I like to explain it. I mean, we do 6-week boarding trainings,
Mhm.
which is about 3.6 million seconds.
Wow.
Can't really put that down.
If a dog gets punished, corrected, made uncomfortable for more than 60 seconds, but it's probably closer to 20 seconds.
Out of that 3.6 million.
Not continuous either. It's just like a second here, a second there, a second there.
Don't do that, do this.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about normal. So just
Yes.
think about that. 60 seconds compared to 3.6 million seconds. That's why that's not even called balanced. It's
Yeah.
like it's not even balanced.
No,
It's not. And I think, but it's just how powerful when you actually know how to apply a punisher to a dog, which has been hijacked to mean abuse, but I will still use the word. And people have often said to me, Jeff, you should stop using the word punisher because maybe you'll reach more people. And I'm like, but
I punish my kids all the time.
I don't
all the time.
but it is called a punisher.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play this word game to appease the general public. People call it like a tickle collar. I'm like, do you mean shock collar? It's like, oh, don't call it a shock collar. It sounds bad. I'm like, but I
tickle
don't
collar
care.
just sounds weird. We're not using that either.
Yeah,
no,
exactly. So it's like, I mean, why can't we just call things what they are instead of trying to appease the public, which in a way I wouldn't call it a lie, but it's like it borders on just not being truthful though.
Yeah.
And I think the feedback that we get is the same thing that repulses people. And I will use that word because I do repulse people. That repulses people about me also attracts the same amount or even more.
The right people.
So, which is really, really ironic that it's like, okay, for instance, I don't like science fiction movies. I use this example all the time. I don't like them. I've never seen Star Trek. There are people that can quote every line of Star Trek.
Yeah.
They're huge Trekkies. So I would hate to see somebody not like me because I don't like Star Trek. And I would hope whoever wrote, produced, directed Star Trek wouldn't care what I think about their movie. Yeah. I'm not their market.
Yep.
I'm not their market at all.
And that's okay.
Yeah, because they didn't make the movie for me. So if someone doesn't like my video, I've been, because I do a lot of mentoring for dog trainers, so I always tell them, I'm like, if you put up a piece of content and someone doesn't like it, like you didn't make it for them.
Yep.
You didn't make it for them. But you made it for the person that saw it. Something as simple. Something as simple as I was going to put my dog down tomorrow. I stumbled across a place video, which is just a dog going to a dog bed and staying there. That's all that is. And my life was changed.
Yep.
Like, wow, really? So you taught your dog to go to a mat and lie down. And I know why, because now we can eat in peace. Company can come over. My kids' friends can come over. I can take my dog places and just have them hold a position somewhere. And my whole world has been expanded, and all this unwanted behavior, even if they didn't directly address it, which they're going to have to do at some point, but changed. And now we're not going to put our dog down. I mean, that's the power of why I feel so many people should be putting their content out there and not care.
Yeah.
And not care about pushback, because there is something called ban and delete. And it's, if someone so I homeschool, Angelo, and ironically before COVID, I was a freak. After COVID, everybody wants help. And so, but it's sort of the kind of thing where it's like, I don't really care if you don't like that I do that or not. Number one, I didn't ask you. And I really don't care what you think about that. Because just like how I don't care about a lot of stuff. And that doesn't mean I'm cold and uncaring. It means your opinion of me is not a reflection of who I am.
Yes.
Because if it was, then I'd be a really insecure person.
Yeah, there's value in that.
And I think that there's that's a whole other issue that I always coach young dog trainers, and not even young dog trainers, but experienced dog trainers, on their self-worth issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they start becoming successful, we have prosperity issues that they run into.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of
Imposter
people
syndrome.
like how people self-sabotage relationships because they don't feel worthy of having a good relationship. So they actually destroy it.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
like,
Which is all past trauma.
that's a very common thing. It's like you were actually in a good relationship and you messed it up. Why?
Yep.
Well, we know why. And if you want to go deep with people, they don't feel deserving of a good relationship. So it happens with dog trainers that become successful. They start making money and they feel guilty because the messaging they've gotten is like making money and being one of those rich people is bad. And I'm like, it's like,
It's a
think
bad
about all the
relationship with
people-
money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bad relationship with money. And it's like, you can do so much. You know, you don't have to buy a fancy car, fancy watch. You can,
Give back.
give back in a huge way. You can, you can do so much stuff. You can do so much stuff. You can always have a free boarding train helping someone. You can always give away X amount of hours a year. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can go into shelters that welcome you and do free training for their staff. You can, there's it's endless. It's endless. So money brings
Absolutely.
opportunity. Money brings opportunity. It doesn't
Amen.
necessarily mean materialistic.
It's true.
Absolutely. No, I agree. 100%. One of the other things I wanted to ask you, I mean, we kind of talked about it, but I do just want your opinion on it. We do have a lot of dog owners that listen to the podcast. So in your opinion, you have 20 plus years of experience. What do you think that dog owners struggle with the most? Is it the dog? Is it them? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because I think the core issue, and I always preclude this isn't a shaming because we're the last people to say, it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
But the human has so much relevance to the dog's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Why does your dog do so well with the trainer, but not the owner? And then that's because of a skill set. Why does the dog do better, though, with one spouse, but not the other? Same house, same environment. And so I think owners struggle a lot with how can they build up their skill sets without studying dog training, which you really don't need to. How can they be relevant to their dogs? How can they make the dogs believe them? Owners struggle with not feeling guilty being strict with their dogs. And when I say strict, that doesn't mean mean. It just means
Consistent.
you have to go to school today.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold outside. You have to wear a jacket. You have to wear a hat. I don't care that you feel you look stupid with those hat and mittens on. You're wearing them. It is cold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that you're tired and don't want to get out of bed. You have to go to school. You have to do your homework. You have to do chores. It's like
You just explained a normal day in our life with our children. So
I wouldn't consider any of that stuff mean at all. I would consider that just
Caring.
I'm setting you up to be a responsible human being, because the world does value hard workers, but also loving and giving and nice human beings. And you can be all of those things.
But discipline's a very or
that's a bad word.
Structure.
Yeah, structure.
Structure.
It's very important for that in every aspect of your life, not just
Every
with the
aspect
dog.
of your life. I mean, there's a reason why I go to the gym 5 days a week. Every morning when I wake up, I don't want to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, but
and that's what I think people confuse. They think that it should be easy. Where did that come across? You go to the gym 5 days a week. I love that you're I've done it for years. Still to this day, I hate waking up and going to the gym.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for me. I have my morning routine. I wake up at 3:30 a.m. every day. Every time my alarm goes off, I'm like, no, but I still do it because of the reward and the benefit that it has in my life. But doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get easier.
Right. And the reward and the benefit. So the reward and benefit happens afterwards.
Yeah.
And the reward of knowing you did it overpowers the guilt of you not doing it.
Yes.
And I think that's a great motivator, for at least for me it is. It's hey, I usually start my day by listening to, a positive podcast or an interview. And then in my ears during my workout, I have the same thing playing. And then, so I start my day like that, and then start my day with the gym, and then a healthy breakfast. And then I start now I've got my stuff out of the way. Now dogs, and then family, and then our chickens wait to the end. So because
they're fine.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine. So
instant gratification is a problem right now. I think in this world,
I think people definitely want quick results. I mean, people get frustrated in drive-throughs all the time, and it's just like, we just came back from Greece, and it's like we were on an island, and there's no such thing as drive-throughs. You know what I mean? It's like, and we walked, to so many places, and the joy of, our nightly walk, and the joy, you just have to I guess, reframe a lot of stuff. And life is just very, very interesting. And I just think that I think if a lot more people did sort of like more of a reflection, and it seems like with you, the two of you, you're getting definitely back to more of the roots from 150 years ago, other than a podcast, but 150 years ago, of like, with your animals and your children and your different business ventures. And I think we all should probably reevaluate. It doesn't have to be, possibly if people think you're being extreme, it doesn't have to be like that, but it should be something like that.
I agree.
Yeah. You mentioned in one of your podcasts, I think the whole thing was pretty much about the little things, right? So as far as owners are concerned, I feel like you can shed some value on that as far as what that actually means for.
Yeah. I mean, we can get a dog in. So when we first moved down here, I think the best example is when we first moved down here, we did board and trains, just one dog at a time out of our house. And then when the center moved down here, we stopped doing that. But so we would have a dog that would come in really crazy. And the morning routine is you pause at your kennel, you get a leash on, you walk to a door, same door every morning. You have to wait, you walk outside, then you walk through another door to go to the potty area. And within about 3 days, it was crazy. It was crazy, obviously the first couple of days. Within 3 days, it's a choreographed routine. And then by 5 or 6 days, you can do it off leash, even though the dog wasn't off leash trained. But if you did it the first or second day, they'd probably be running around your house. You know what I mean? So it is all these little incremental things that need to be consistent. I think owners are having a hard time with consistency. I mean, you mentioned like what people are having a hard time with. I think owners are being very, very confused with all the information on social media right now.
Yeah.
I think when you're told your dog will become aggressive, you'll have a terrible relationship, it's considered abuse, that's pretty scary for an owner to hear. Ironically, we've never seen any of that stuff happen, and we practice it every day. All we see is the opposite. Dogs get better. They have a better relationship with their owner. They have more freedom. They can go more places, and you're less stressed. For some weird reason, when you're in the trenches doing what supposedly you're not supposed to do, we're seeing the opposite of this narrative. And I think owners are now being more receptive to that because they know it's not working. Like, we've been doing this for years and it doesn't work. I'm like, years? We stopped an unwanted behavior in a day, you know? So, but then there's all these excuses of that's because the dog. So if you fix the problem, you fix the problem wrong. If you attempt to fix the problem, you're a bad person. And if you get sick, so you can't win. Folks like me can't win no matter what. And you have to learn to be comfortable with that because the owner knows that they won. The owner knows.
Yeah.
When they have a better quality of life, I can take my dog to an outdoor cafe. I can take my dog wherever I want. Car rides are peaceful now. People can come in my house. I can go into other people's houses. My kids can have friends over. The dog's not attacking like the lawnmower ATV. All I mean, like owners, they get it. They get it. They really, really do. So
I agree. Agree. And again, like you're saying, it's just the benefit or the act and then seeing the result just outweighs any of the negativity that comes along with it. So sometimes people will be like, well, why do you use these tools? Or do we have to use this? Or do we have to? And it's like, yeah, because this is how we get the results. Applying this structure to your life, applying this, accountability and just these rules in general are going to transform your life. Like, just trust me on this. And then we get through the program. They're like, you were right. But we had watched so many things. Like you're saying, there's just so much information out there. And I just think it's really important for the dog trainers to understand that the owners are overwhelmed with all of this information and not get callous to it. Because I don't want anybody to ever be like, oh, like they think this again. It's like, no, every individual that walks through your door, they might have the same story. They might have a different story, but you have to treat it as if it's the first time you heard it over and over again with a warm heart, and understand where they're at and put yourself in their shoes. And I think a lot of people, when they think about being a dog trainer, it's like, oh, you get to work with dogs. That's so cute. No. And it's like, well, it's mostly people. It's mostly the people that we're dealing with. And, I think, again, going back, keep reminiscing, all these things keep popping up. 10 years ago, it was like, if you ever meet a dog trainer that's like, I love working with dogs and hate working with people, do not work with that dog trainer because that's backwards.
I think a lot of people get into dog training because they do love dogs, which is fine. You probably should work at a larger facility, working with dogs, training the dogs. You probably should not do go-home sessions. You probably should not work with the clients. But that doesn't mean you still can't have value in the industry. But as a business owner, you need to have a couple of new skills, more than a couple. But you have to have you have to have business skills. You're actually running a business with income and expenses, and taxes, obviously, which aren't expenses. And then you also have to have really, really good people skills. Yes. You have to have actually excellent people skills.
Communication
and
people.
And you also, like you mentioned, I think one person made a comment, a couple people made comments before on my podcast. Can we stop talking about prong collars, Jeff? Every show you talk about prong collars, and I'm like, every show new people come on. Yes. They ask the same question. What am I going to say? I asked that question last week. I'm not going to ask it this week. It's like they need to know. So you have to have a lot of, if you want to be a good dog trainer for family pets, I think you have to have a lot of empathy, and you also have to be able to hold people accountable. Yes. And then you also have to know when to just cut loose and just be like, you know what? I can't care more than you do. Yes. It's your dog. And that sounds very anti-dog and anti-client. Like, what do you mean you'd walk away from a client? I'm like, well, we can't save every dog. I can't care more than the owner does. It's not my dog. Yep. I am sharing all this information with you, but for some reason you're not receiving it and putting it into practice. I really can't keep helping you because every week we're repeating what we kept doing. Yep. And it's, at some point you just have to cut the client loose. Or you turn down a client right at the beginning because you don't think they're the right match.
That's good business structure.
Yeah. Finding the right dog trainer is almost like, finding a therapist, finding, like dating, like anything else. It's like, I look at it as a relationship. And ironically, being in business for so long, we're on many families' third dogs. Like, wow, yeah. One died. They got another one. That one died, and then they just got another one, whether it's a puppy or another one. And another ironic thing is, when I was on the road for those first 8 years, I would say about a dozen of those people from New England now live very close to me here in Florida.
Really?
So yeah,
They all have the same idea.
Snowbird.
yeah. I think, I mean, that's a natural migration, the whole New England, Florida route, you know, so.
It makes sense.
So,
I hear you.
Yeah.
But all right, so we're going to start wrapping up here. I have a couple personal questions, couple maybe hard hitters. What is, and I didn't prep him, you guys, with these, so I apologize in advance, Jeff. But what is the most important lesson you learned over your career? That might be a tough one.
Well, see, this is what's really weird. I got into this. I used to get bit a lot as a young dog trainer because I was working with dogs above my skill sets. But on the flip side, I'm really glad that I have that skill set now. I'm really glad that I did because I had to survive that. But I always encourage people now that are starting out, stay away from aggression, stay away from things like that. The hardest thing, I think I've become more emotionally mature over the last 20 years. I think I'm becoming more rational and reasonable over the last 20 years. I think on a personal level, I think I've gotten my shit together.
Yeah.
You know, I do. I mean, I would hope so, right? 20 years is a long time to work on yourself. So I think I'd like to be, I think
there's no neutral growth. It's either you're going backwards or forwards.
Yeah. And on the flip side, I still have hard days. You know, I still have hard days. You know, I mean, I still have to hustle. So
absolutely.
But I think overall, things are on a really nice upward climb. Yeah.
I love that for you. That's good. And then you kind of just answered it probably, but let's see if there's anything else you want to add. What's one piece of advice you'd give someone new starting out in dog training?
I would say go learn every modality of dog training that is out there. There are some incredible reward-based only dog trainers. Incredible.
Yep.
Everyone should learn how to clicker train a dog. But then also understand the limits that it has. I think everyone should. People always ask me, what dog training videos do you watch? And I say none. It does not mean I know everything about dog training. I listen to people speaking, people debating, people helping other people, coaches from everyone else, different podcasters that can have conversations with other people. I listen to people that how to have a healthier relationship with your spouse, because not only does it help me on a personal level, but it also, believe it or not, helps me on a business level. Even though it's not a romantic relationship, it still is. Or it's still a relationship. So you know, I think building up your human skills.
Yes.
I think would probably be the best. I'd like to say it's a given that you can train a dog. Building your human skills, I think, is probably what a lot of young dog trainers should put their effort into. And then also learning, working on your own personal growth skills, I think would be the top two things that a good dog trainer that wants to help the most amount of people can probably do.
100%. I agree with you. For me, it's personal growth and leadership skills, because even if you're not going to lead a team, you're leading every client and every dog. And that's a whole nother skill set that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with quote unquote dog training. It is yourself. No. It's how you carry yourself. It's how do you respond, out of emotion, or are you going to respond out of, a clear mind, right? And it just goes so deep. So it's something that we've always been pretty obsessed with, personal growth and everything like that. Because like he said, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And so I agree 100%. And to kind of piggyback off that, because it might tie into this, what podcast do you recommend? It could be dog training. It could be personal growth. Like what do you listen to? What does Jeff listen to?
I tend to, I'm on the conservative side of things. People might not think I am because, this guy with long hair, but I'm actually on the conservative side of things. I like to listen to like different intellectuals. I like Jordan Peterson.
Yes, we love
We're
him.
gonna go see him in October, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of JP. I like any podcaster. Like I actually like Ben Shapiro, and it's like,
Mhm. Oh,
and
that's
I
so
don't
funny.
agree with everything he says, but I love the way he breaks down
So articulate.
conversations,
Yes.
and I love the way that he debates, and I love the way that he can be, very, very courteous. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for president, that doesn't mean I'm going to vote for him, but I love the way that he is handling all of this stuff that's being thrown at him right now, and how he's answering his questions. I think there's a lot to learn from that.
Yep.
But I mean, I'll listen to a lot of I don't like to listen to political stuff that much because it can get very, very negative. It can get very negative, and I really don't want to put that in my brain.
There's an agenda underlying.
Yeah. I'll listen to a lot of like the classics like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, all the classic, the OG people on the motivational spectrum.
I respect that.
So there's
I love that.
but it's that type of category. It's that type of category. Yeah.
And again, I think that people who are working on any type of leadership or wanting personal growth, go listen back to the people he just mentioned and Google them and look them up and type them in the podcast search, because that is an amazing place to start.
Listen and then implement.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, audible.com is great. Like if you don't know where to start, just like write in personal growth in Audible, and then just see what pops up, scroll through them, see if there's someone that you can connect with. I listen to, Patrick Bet-David, and, who's got a podcast. He's down in Florida now. Nice. Everyone's moving to Florida now, Texas, with the podcasting. I listen to a lot of people because of whether I agree with them or not, how they speak and how they treat others, and how they handle adversity, and how they work through difficult things. And also a lot of these people tend to be polarizing. So how they deal with, a lot of people that, will disagree with them, how they handle that in a professional way.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Yes, I agree to all of that. So where can people find you and all of your platforms?
Well, I mean, the online courses, which are fantastic because they can dramatically change a dog owner's life, as well as a dog trainer. They can build their skills. But Solid K9, so letter K, numeric 9, Solid K9 Academy, most of our courses are under $200. And we're talking like our Green to Graduate, which is just the name of a course. You can fully off-leash train your dog.
It's amazing.
So, doing a 1-hour consult with me is more than that. So you can literally you get 20, 25 hours of content for cheaper than talking to me for 1 hour. So I think it's really, really important that people take that as a baseline course.
Yes.
Because once you have that as a baseline course, then we can start addressing like almost every issue, because then you have all this baseline stuff to go on. Also, I feel really strongly that probably 90%, I know it sounds extreme, of the dogs in the US probably don't even have baseline public access training. Like you can take your dog out of public and your dog will actually, a lot of people take their dogs out of public, but they can't behave. You know what I mean? So I think, it's really important that as many people as possible get a good baseline, baseline obedience for the real world. And then Solid K9 Training is our main website, but the Academy site is what I think right now will be helpful to the most people around the world. I mean, people from around the world buy these courses because it's a digital product. It's a digital product, and it gets delivered to your inbox as soon as you pay for it.
I love it. They can start implementing right away and That's
Yep.
that instant gratification in the sense of like, I can
Yeah.
start right now. So that's amazing. All right. So we end with just a fun little round every podcast with a game, and we make it up on the fly. It's just called This or That. And we just want to see what you would pick.
Okay.
So let's start. Okay. Do you have any in mind, or am I going to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Florida or Greece?
That's a good one.
Well, now Florida. I think 2-3 years. Greece, and which gives me access to Europe, which I really like a lot. I like the Italian coast, and I like beaches and water, and like in Greece, like there's Athens, which is just crazy busy city. Everybody's stressed out there.
Oh no.
And it's funny because then you go to one of the islands, it's more relaxed. So I think I'm at a point in my life now where I'm going to be that guy sitting at the outdoor cafe for half the day, and then I'll probably swim in the ocean, and then I'll probably do online coaching. You know what I mean? It's like that's how
I feel like that could be me right now.
Yeah,
I'm ready for that.
So and then Angela's homeschooled, so like give him, as long as he's got Wi-Fi. Like he's fine, and we're already talking about little small businesses that he can start. He's 10.
How old is he
10,
now?
Yeah. He'll be 11 on this month. Actually, the end of this month, he'll be 11.
I cannot wait to see what that kid does.
Yeah. He's never been to school.
Amazing.
He's never been to school. Yeah, he's always been homeschooled his whole life, and he's a really cool kid. Yeah, he's really
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, another one I can think of is online courses or seminars. For you personally, it doesn't have to be for the user. Like, what do you enjoy better? Okay. These are Jeff's questions.
Okay, I personally, I'm gonna have to have a couple of disclaimers here. I love online seminars.
Oh,
probably because instant gratification, like we all have a weakness for. But I also, and I love the dramatic effect it has on people's lives. When people come in and and I know this, they're driving to the seminar scared. They'll have the worst dog possible. They're thinking about turning around. They go, and on Sunday night, they're like, I'm so glad that I came to this. You've changed my life. That's a pretty powerful,
huge
comment to get. And that's the norm.
Love it.
Courses, I really enjoy making them with Joelle. She's a great life and business partner. And I really enjoy them because we can help millions of people.
Yeah.
And so we can help people at scale.
Yeah.
So I think I like that. I think that's it. I can't really think of on either of those any negative on either of those. I guess the only negative for the seminars would be I could theoretically do a seminar in every city and every town in the United States, and that's just not possible. That's just not possible. So, people do drive, 6 to 12 hours is the norm that people would drive to a seminar. So,
wow. What about you? You come up with any? I can keep going all day.
Go ahead.
All right. German Shepherd or Mal?
Well, German Shepherd. I swore I would never get a Malinois. And unfortunately, one of my clients committed suicide and wrote a note saying, "Give Jeff my dog." And I'm
no!
Yeah. So this goes back a while. This goes back probably at least 5 years, and he's. Every once in a while I'll tell Tex to cut the shit, stop being a Malinois.
Yeah.
But he's a high drive dog, but he's got a great off switch. He has an incredible. He's lying down right now next to me.
He's the one that you have currently.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a great off switch, so he can go from a dead sleep, a dead rest
to hanging on the sleeve,
to let's go run 20 miles. But I'm a big German Shepherd guy.
Love it. Nightlife out or homebody?
Oh, homebody, absolutely. 100%, homebody. Yeah.
Let's see, podcast or book?
I'm an audiobook person.
Okay.
Me too.
So, but I can listen to, like, if there's a podcast, say on YouTube, I don't watch it, I listen to it. So I rarely will be watching an actual podcast. It's usually treated almost like an audio book. I do like books. I like the feeling in my hand of a book, but I tend to like podcasts. Well, you can't really read a book at the gym. So, you know, you can't read a book when you're driving. So I really I like audio learning a lot. I like audio learning a lot.
Awesome.
I'm with you on that.
You have anything? Any last throw in one more? Give us one. He's gonna do one.
Van or camper?
Ooh.
I
Camper
love
van.
RV life. I love RV life. I could probably be a full timer. I love it. I still have my 32-foot, RV. It's a new one since I think I've seen you. And that's how we go. And I've been across the country many times. But I like, I think a van is probably more practical.
Yeah.
Just, but probably RV. Probably RV.
Love it. Love it. We're looking at getting one, so maybe we'll be joining you. We'll be cruising around
down to Florida.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. If you want to know anything about it, let me know. Yeah,
I appreciate
There's
it.
a lot of they're not making them as good as they used to, unfortunately. But but the used ones.
I was just gonna say, like, what? That's like many things right now.
Yeah, but van's gonna be like a boat. You put a lot of money into them constantly. So
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. But, well, thank you so much. I feel like you shared a lot that's really going to help our listeners. So much to recap and go back on everything from handling negativity and negative comments in your workspace or your life, all the way to, struggles that owners have with dog, and then how to feel empowered. We covered a lot on this episode.
Amazing. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for thinking of me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, of course. It was great seeing you both. It really was. It's really it's great, and it's I do catch you on social media, and I just love what you've created. I love because you were talking about creating this life for yourself when we met 9 years ago. You really were, and you did it, and I like to surround I like to surround myself with people like that as well, who they take action. They take action on things. Yeah.
Well, again, like I said in the beginning, you were a huge part of helping us get set up and getting started, and kind of lighting that fire under us to get going. So we appreciate you. We always will. We look forward to doing stuff again with you in the future. And again, just thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Love you, brother.
Well, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon, Jeff. Thank you.
All right. Great.
Bye.
Take care. Yep. Bye-bye.